All right, now I had a sit down with the Iron Lady Martha Karua on the launch of her book Against the Tide, and here's the conversation. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching TV 47 Weekend Edition. It is time for To The Point, and today we're very much honored to be in the presence of a very iconic leader who has been a champion for integrity, leadership, equality, and that is none other than Honorable Martha Karua. Now, in her book Against the Tide, Honorable Karua shares with us her journey, a journey that is paved with conviction, courage, and a vision that has stood the test of time. And right here in her office, we sit down for this exclusive one-on-one interview to hear firsthand the story behind this story and to understand the incredible woman behind the title Against the Tide. This is To The Point, Mheshimiwa. Karibu sana. We are very honored to be here.
Asante sana. May I say I like your colors? They look beautiful on you. Yes.
Thank you so much. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah. So let's just get to the point. Why Against the Tide, and what is the inspiration behind this book?
I think Against the Tide speaks for itself. It's like going against the grain. That really has been my life. The book is just about sharing my experience growing up through my career path, through my professional path, politics, just sharing in the hope that it may affirm, encourage, and I pray inspire someone.
All right, so in this particular book, you've said it's a labor of love. For how long has it been in the kitchen?
I think I don't want to exactly say, but close to a decade, because first I got people to help me to write, but I was unable to connect well with what had been written. Got several people to look at it again, eventually sat down to go through chapter by chapter, so as to immerse my voice in the book. Yeah, so it was not been easy, even that.
Right. Yeah. So what is that story specifically about Martha that is, you feel it's so, you are inspiring in your own way, always inspiring, but what is that one particular chapter in this book that you think every Kenyan should also get a touch of?
I think I don't want to pick any one thing, but the book will show that I'm just like anybody else. I'm like any other person brought up in the rural areas, undertaking the chores everybody undertakes in the rural areas. You'll be helping at home, you'll be helping in the shamba, you'll be multitasking, because every girl child there will be carrying, if you're not a last born, you'll be carrying a sibling even before you're strong enough. If there's water to fetch, you'll be fetching it. You'll be walking around the house mirroring your mother. And because you're a child, you will also play just like everybody else. And then about my school life, clashing occasionally with my teachers. I hope that it will inspire parents like me to have more patience with our children, because if it was not for the patience of my parents, then perhaps my education would have been cut short, because I had run-ins here and there with the teachers and coming back. And also to those who are in the teaching profession, that a little patience helps shape your students and helps them to complete successfully, because there are also teachers who are able to help me do that. Yes.
So now that you're talking about your school life and how you were in school, tell us about the character of young Martha in school.
You know, I leave that for you to judge for yourself when you read the book, but I can tell you this for free, that I've always been outspoken. As a child, as a young adult, as a growing up person, and even as a young professional person, and even now in my senior age, I'm still as outspoken as then. I speak my mind, and that does not always sit well with people around you or people who may not like what you're doing, and for teachers that may be confused for rudeness, you know, or I don't know, sometimes, especially the time I grew, even asking too many questions could have been mistaken for rudeness. Asking for justification for something a teacher ordered you to do was considered extreme, you know. So just all those things, yeah. It also gives the young people an inside view of how those days were, yeah.
Did a young Martha ever imagine that she will be here today, this iconic woman that you are today?
Nobody can see the future clearly, but we all aspire. I aspired to be a lawyer at some stage, and I didn't know how to say that a lawyer. The person I knew locally closest to law is the local magistrate, who was referred to as judge. So I had aspirations of being a judge, not judge as you know it today, a judicial officer at the courts upcountry, the magistrate. So that was the judge in my head. And at some stage in secondary school, I did aspire to be member of parliament, but not with intensity, just jokingly pronouncing it to a classmate of mine, whom I lost touch with from Kandara. I hope she gets to see it with this. And Damaris, if you're somewhere, give me a shout sometime. Because I remember when I was in Form 3, Form 4, telling Damaris that she will be the member for Kandara, while I'll be the member for Kirinyaga East. That was the name of Geshogo then. I used to listen to Bunge, Leo Katika Bunge, and I think I was interested in the debates. And therefore, I did dream, but playfully, that one day I'll be member for Geshogo. So we are told what you confess with your mouth
is what you become.
Yeah. So it later came to be. But I was always interested in debate, in current affairs and all that.
So you've also been a champion for justice and democracy in this country. Did you ever tire at any point of fighting?
Not really, because it's about me and you. It's about protecting your space. Even when you fight for human rights of others, you're fighting for your own human rights. Because if we do not call out authorities when they violate people's rights, you are laying the ground for your own rights to be violated, or the rights of somebody close to you. So I like to think of the saying, and I believe this saying in most of our languages. We say it in vernacular that when you do good, you do unto yourself. When you do bad, you do unto yourself. Weka wega, niwe weika. I'm talking pure Geshogo. Weka oru niwe weika, you know? So I believe that by advocating for everybody to be treated fairly, you basically are also advocating for a fair environment for everyone, you included. Yeah. So
how have you been able to manage motherhood in this very demanding career?
I don't know. I can't say that it's the things that interest me, and maybe who I was raised as and have become. I'm a person who won't sit still when things around me are in chaos. I will try to organize. And I can give the analogy of a chaotic house. When you enter even your own house, even when you have people working for you, you will not call them to pick maybe a cup or a plate in the wrong place, or to ask why it is there. You pick and then ask. Yani, you'll organize first and then ask why was it there in the first place. So long as there is need for getting it done, I will find myself there. Not asking for who will do it, doing it while asking where are people so that we organize this mess. This country is in a mess. And as Kenyans, we need to contribute to organizing it. Throughout my growing up during the KANU era, during the Kibaki era when we entered government, I have always been a part of wanting to set things right, because Kenya is my home. I give it the analogy of the house. So long as you see some work, and even now in my senior age, I'm seeing so much that needs to be done. I want to be a part for it. I am part of it because I belong to this house, and I'm looking for others so that we do it together. Nobody will ever organize the space you are in for you. We must organize it together. You must be part of it. And they say, be part of the change you want to see.
All right. So you've been here for all these seasons of leadership. What has changed from the moment Jomo Kenyatta took power? What has changed up until this point?
A lot has. And now we are in a period of recession where we seem to be going in the reverse gear. There was that dark period, we've referred to it as a dark period, when democracy was literally eclipsed. We became legally a one-party state again. There was total intolerance of people with divergent opinion. Then the clamor for multipartyism, a lot of repression, killings, people disappearing, so there was abductions. And then also detention without trial. Imagine a government that has detention without trial but still finds it necessary to eliminate. Terrible. That's why that period is referred to as the dark era. Then we get the Constitution. When Kibaki came, even before the Constitution, there was respect for the rule of law and human rights. Then still within the Kibaki era, recession of democracy, violation of human rights, and then enters the 2010 Constitution. And when I talk of the violation of rights in the Kibaki era, is more after the failed referendum. You remember the way the Mungiki were dealt with, and then the post-election violence, where rights are violated not just by government agencies, but by sections of the opposition, people who are unhappy with the election results. Then there are retaliations by supporters of the government. So wenyewe kwa wenyewe. So that's the part in Kibaki era when the human rights records deteriorated. Then comes the 2010 Constitution. And we are all very hopeful that we are building a new Kenya. Since 2013, instead of building upon that foundation laid, we have seen gradual erosion of the very dream and aspirations of the people in the Constitution. But the dark era is the Ruto administration. That now has returned us beyond Moi's dark era, or Kanu's dark era. This is the darkest. The number of deaths, and we don't know, those are the ones that have been reported. Falsification of records at the mortuary by police, where they record someone shot by themselves as a road traffic accident. The number of unknown dead bodies, because they don't want to reveal they are the culprits, until we have seen the city mortuary now starting to reject the deaths. They also feel it's too much. We may never know the number of the dead. So this indeed is the dark era. The dark era where peaceful demonstrators who have nothing, no arms on their hands, who are peaceful and are proud to be Kenyans, they are patriotic and are wearing the flag, gunned to death. And we don't know the number. Recorded 61, but people missing, and bodies, unclaimed bodies. Bodies even in Aquaria dump site. Bodies everywhere. Which I hope one day we will get to know the numbers. So we are back to the dark era. So I'm telling my story. And work is not done, fellow Kenyans. We still have a lot to do. We still have a lot of mess to clear around us. And we must not let Kenya settle into this very dark era where the truth, the Constitution, our values have been eclipsed by Ruto and his cronies. Yeah.
We're also seeing rising cases of femicide in the country now that we're talking about the number of people being killed, women are losing their lives. So how can we best address these cases, and how did we get here?
Like Abel in the Bible and Esau, we should never say, I do not know where my brother or sister is. Be your brother, your sister's keeper. shout, scream when people are being abducted. And I'm seeing that a lot in the social media. Let us all join hands looking for those who are abducted. Look for help, whether online or anywhere else. And I know those who are looking for help, Kenyans are coming together to shout, and Kenyans have rescued many. We have been unable to rescue maybe many more, because unless if you have a person near you who highlights what is happening to you, we may not be able to rescue. But we can stop the many ills happening. We can stop the corruption, the hemorrhage of our hard-earned taxes. We can reject the shambolic Shah, or is it sheaf? We even don't know what animal that is. We can restore access to health. We can refuse reforms, in quotes, in the education sector, new funding model, which is not well thought out. We can reject takeover of our premier gateway by the Adani Group. We can refuse all those opaque and corrupt things by being able to come together, shout, and resist. And resisting is not only by offering people's chests to be shot by this bloodthirsty administration. We can innovate and find many ways. None of us, even as politicians, foresaw the beautiful work that the Gen Z did. The digital mobilization that really worked. We can reimagine, we can do greater things.
Now we have the Gen Zs here, you've mentioned them, and that is, I was coming to that. So they've come here with their tagline, revolution, they're revolutionizing the country. And you are very passionate about integrity. So how can they live up to these standards of integrity now that they're looking up to what has already been set up for them by the people who've walked this journey?
We can multiply and enhance what the Gen Z have already done, laid a foundation for this conversation. Because I tell you, none of us politicians would have been able to take on the religious institutions the way the Gen Z did, because you fear that they'll gang up and campaign against you. But by saying occupy the churches, they helped us to focus on corruption going on and churches being turned into corruption sites by us politicians, with the acquiescence, of course, of religious leaders. And you remember even a few Harambes had been cancelled. We are picking up the habit again, and slowly we are going back. It's time for us to reimagine, move their revolutionary spirit forward, not backwards. And many, many other things. And you've seen a lot of them also moving on the issue of accountability and the lies being spilled. We'll build this stadium, you'll do what? I'll single out the work done by Morara Kebaso, or a young man like Eric Omondi, and many, many others who are giving the facts as they are. Kenyans have always known, but it is so much better when there is demonstration and when you can see for yourself the place where you've been told there will be something and there is nothing, yet money has been spent. There are so many people with innovation on the digital space. People, posting podcasts of the things that are happening, things that are being done, complementing the mainstream media. The digital space is a space to watch, and that's one of the ways we can innovate. We can increase. Kenyans have already innovated. Increase that innovation to defeat the oppression being visited upon us by the Ruto regime.
All right, now are you mentoring any young people into leadership and taking up space?
There are two ways of mentoring. By people walking along with you as you do the things you're doing. And yes, of course, I'm doing that because even within the party space, within the social space, we have a lot of young people.
Awesome. Now, Mheshimiwa, you have a masterclass. What is it about?
I will say I have not started a Martha Karua masterclass as yet, but I went as a guest for a masterclass by the CTA, by Njau, Richard Njau, a very, very promising Kenyan and very innovative one, where the masterclass was about my memoir. So I went in as a guest, and I want to thank him because that was like a mini launch. The launch of my memoir is this Sunday. That was a soft launch.
Powerful close, but I have now a final question. I would love to get your opinion on the notion good girls don't get the corner office.
I haven't read the book. I'll tell you that straight away. But I'll tell you it is true. You will not do much by being a good girl, in quotes. Do what pleases you, so long as you are convinced you are doing the right thing, even if in the eyes of the others you are branded a bad person. It's always been my mantra. If I have to look bad or to be bad in the eyes of some, in order to accomplish my job, then I want to be very bad, and to accomplish my job.
So I don't know if I should ask you this question to just wind up, but who is the target audience for Against the Tide?
I think everyone. I am sharing me with you because the me you know is what is projected by the media. It will be mainly the hard tackles, calling out of the government, maybe disagreements in the political arena, but the book takes you through many phases of me. I'm just like you. I have happy moments, I have sad moments, I have moments where we'll be fighting over space. I'm an all-rounder. And even for you, the face you wear to a funeral is not the same face you wear to a wedding. You have moments of grief, you have vulnerabilities. We even have moments as human beings we stumble, but we must pick up the pieces and move. Dust yourself and move. You know, we have to be resilient. So the book shares with you me, the real me, not just that part you may have learned in the media.
All right, thank you so much once again. I've said thank you almost a million times because we're very, very grateful to be here today. So that is to the point. We were talking to Honorable Martha Karua on the launch of her book, Against the Tide. This is just a snippet of that book, and we hope that you will be sure to grab yourself. All right, there you have it, a snippet of the book Against the Tide, a memoir by Honorable Martha Karua, speaking about her resilience, her courage, and a vision that has stood the test of time. We're taking a very short break at this point. Sports is up next.